Should you buy the Titanic Escape Simulator? I'm going to try to answer that question as quick as possible. Now, we'll start off by saying that I purchased the game as someone who has a fascination with the Titanic. That may be the case for you as well. And I wanted to really see it visually, see the layout of the ship, all these sorts of things, maybe just get an experience of what it would have been like to be on the ship back in that time. So from that part of the game, I was thoroughly satisfied. The game was absolutely beautiful. There was someone in the chat who was a lot familiar with the layout of the actual ship and mentioned that there were a lot of inaccuracies within the ship. So again, don't go at it thinking that you're going to get an exact depiction of what the ship was looking like. Now the story, you are an investigator named Arthur Morgan. I don't think that has anything to do with Red Dead Redemptions, but I found that kind of funny. You are an investigator on the ship to investigate a murder and figure out what happened before the ship sinks. Now, the game early on, I felt did a great job with the atmosphere. You felt the weight of the story, you felt the weight of the investigation that you were doing. But as the game went on, I felt that that story kind of unraveled a little bit and felt a little rushed. I'm not going to give any more details as far as the story goes, so I don't want to spoil it for any of you who actually do want to play it. But I do want to go over a few of the bugs that we encountered that made the experience a little shaky. There's this one particular door, I think it was on deck A, that I found that if you go outside of it, you could not get back in without jumping all over the place. And I eventually found that if you crouch and jump through the door, you can get through it. What the heck? I just crouched and jumped and he went through. But for the rest of the game, I found myself being a little bit nervous in case if I had to go back out of that door that I was going to have trouble getting back in. There were a few other minor glitches that I found. Some of the NPCs were just kind of sitting all over the place on top of a couch. Another one where it was a part of the story, you were talking to this guy and he just started shaking all of a sudden. So I don't know what that's about, but they didn't ruin the experience. I just found them a little funny. But there was one glitch that I found towards the end of the game when you were trying to get out of the ship that I found a little annoying. I was walking down this corridor as the ship was sinking, the water's rushing in, and we just somehow managed to slide into this little room. I was so confused on how I got in there, but eventually found that if I went back towards the wall, I could get out of it. Basically just going in and out of the wall, but I still could not get back in the corridor. So I had to wait for I think it was a 3-minute timer, count all the way down and die to restart that portion. Now you may not encounter the same bugs that I encountered, but I did want to point that out. And I don't know if there's going to be an update at some point, maybe to fix some of those or not, but it'd be really good if they did. Now back to that question of whether you should purchase the game or not. I think my biggest critique of the game is the fact that it's so short. For the description that you will find on Steam about, the sequence of getting out of the ship, the investigation, you got this idea that you were going to get a lot more depth than you did get. But the game felt a little bit rushed. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the atmosphere from the beginning felt really good. I was kind of just soaking up the game, soaking up the visuals and such. So maybe I looked past a lot of the bad portions. But as you got towards the end, especially around the sequence of the ship sinking, I felt like that whole portion just flew by. It just seemed extremely rushed. And when we got towards the actual ending, I was in questioning whether this was the end of the game or not. But the fact that the ship was sinking, it was pretty obvious that this was the ending of the game. So I think for the price, $15, 15 shillings, you're not getting a lot of depth. I think that is the biggest gripe that I would have. I think that would be the biggest caution that I would give towards anyone looking to purchase the game. I completed it in, I think, 3.5 hours. But that was just because of some of the bugs that I encountered. And I took a little time in some of the portions trying to figure out parts of the game. But I honestly think if I were to go back and play it again, I could probably complete it within an hour to an hour and a half at most. So you're not getting a lot of content for the price. And I do think that, at least in my opinion, the story, especially how rushed it was, may leave you a little bit disappointed. But again, if you are someone who's just fascinated with the Titanic and you want to see it from a visual perspective, I think it's a beautiful game. You don't get a chance to see a whole ton of the ship, but for what they do show, it is absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful visual game, and I think that that part at least was worth it. But overall, a purchase, I'll let you make that decision. So this was just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt and do whatever you want to do. But again, if I wasn't streaming the game, I probably would have just watched someone else play it. Yeah, I think that's just my take. All right, catch you guys later.